You saw the title. Today I have 4 blockbuster NBA offseason trade predictions for you all. This is way too premature given that they are all dependent on how certain teams finish down the stretch, but with that being said, I believe that certain outcomes of the season are going to ultimately make these trades happen. My first blockbuster deal is going to be a trade for the Houston Rockets. As we all know, the Rockets are going to be active on the star guard market simply because they need someone to put the ball into the hoop for them consistently and be the floor general for a team that struggles immensely on the offensive end of the floor. They have the pieces, money, and assets to trade for any star guard, but their favorite target, Devin Booker, will not be moved this offseason. This will cause a pivot in direction for the team, and with Fred VanVleet having a team option, the team will not pick it up and make way for their new starting point guard. The Rockets need shooting, playmaking, and just overall scoring, and with his improvement on defense, I believe that the Houston Rockets will emerge as prime suitors for Atlanta Hawks all-star guard Trae Young. You look at how the Atlanta Hawks have handled things in the Trae Young era, and after a conference finals appearance, they destroyed everything that they had built, and after this year's deadline, they have accepted a rebuilding approach. This approach surely will cause anger from Trae Young, as he wants to win first and foremost. Combine that with the rumors that have swarmed in about him year after year, seeing Young want out is not that crazy. As for the trade, specific logistics of it are not there, as the trade maker I use is not adjusted for the offseason yet, but my blueprint for the deal is as follows. Trae Young will be headed to the Houston Rockets in exchange for Dillon Brooks, Jabari Smith Jr., Reed Shepherd, and 2 first-round picks. This package is extremely favorable to Atlanta in terms of upside with the young players and the potential with the 2 first-round picks, as they most likely are not going to be Houston's picks, rather picks from other teams. The Hawks tap in even further into their youth movement and get to plug in Reed Shepherd right into the 1 spot in hopes he can turn out to be the point guard of the future in their young backcourt next to Dyson Daniels. Jabari Smith Jr. is a question mark, as the Hawks already have 2 good young wings, so finding minutes for him might be difficult, and Dillon Brooks can be flipped for other assets that are more favorable. The real reason why we're here and still listening is because Trae Young for Houston is going to be the offensive burst the Rockets much needed. And if you have any concerns with his defense, the team can compensate for it, even though Trae Young is much improved on that end. The dimensions this offense can reach will be scary, as you would have a backcourt of Trae Young and Jalen Green alongside athletic wings that can rim run and be lob threats, while Alperen Sengun can play in his elevated position for a center. It isn't the Rockets' first option, but it certainly isn't a bad one, and considering this may be their best one, I will predict they go out and trade for Trae Young this offseason. Another option for Houston is the Kevin Durant route, which I don't love for the team, as they already have a surplus of young wings as is. A team that can be perfect for Kevin Durant is in Texas, and I believe that is where we see KD end up this offseason. Kyrie Irving has a player option worth over $40 million. He is injured, however, and he has a love for Dallas now, and I think he will decline this only because he wants to bring Kevin Durant in and reunite with him along with Anthony Davis, forming a dominant big 3. After taking a pay cut, the pathway to a trade becomes much easier for Dallas, and is why this will ultimately happen this offseason. The Suns have set their asking price for Kevin Durant at a young player and 3 first-round picks. In theory, this is a steep asking price, but if Phoenix is serious about holding on to Devin Booker, they can easily fill in some holes on the roster in this deal, along with getting more assets to solidify the team. The package that I predict would happen is centered around Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, and Caleb Martin. All 3 of those players would help Phoenix address the depth, along with address the desperate need for a center. If Phoenix is serious about competing, this is the return they need from a KD trade rather than focusing on a young player and picks, which they would also get at least 1 pick from any Kevin Durant deal, focusing on bettering their team for contention right now. The best part about it is that all 3 players have value and are on great value contracts, so if Phoenix opted to flip them, they would get many assets to add up to what they want. As for the Dallas Mavericks, the defense takes a hit on the perimeter, but having Kyrie, Klay, KD, AD, and Lively with an assumed bench of Dinwiddie, Christie, Exum, Marshall, with hopes to add a real backup big, the team still maintains its depth. Chemistry is not going to be an issue because Kyrie and KD already know how to play together, and they are smart enough to understand that getting Anthony Davis going early will be vital to success, and they will know how to play off of him. All 3 players can take over any game, and the team will exploit everyone on offense. And defensively, they have great interior defenders, and they can figure out the perimeter defense easily, as their bench defense will be crazy. Remember, all of this is reliant on what Kyrie does this offseason, and again, considering that he is going to be out for a while with an ACL injury, his age, and his desire to win, I don't think it will be a surprise if he takes that pay cut in favor of a KD trade. So I will predict Kevin Durant is traded to the Dallas Mavericks to pair up with Kyrie and AD. Trade number 3 is an absolute shocker as well, and it is going to stem from the fact I do not believe the Milwaukee Bucks find success in the playoffs, and they make 2 massive trades to signify their restart and rebuild. Trade number 1 ships all-star guard Damian Lillard out of Milwaukee to Florida, just not the Miami Heat team he once was aggressively pursuing playing for, rather the Orlando Magic. Orlando is going to be a terrible team down the stretch, and they have been pretty bad of late as is, and outside of injuries, all the team's issues can be traced back to their offensive issues. The same reason why Houston needed Trae Young, the Magic need a high-level three-point shooting point guard, but at the same time they need a veteran that can play make. The bonus about going out and adding Lillard is that his value has been depleted to such a level that he will only cost Orlando salary-filling vets and probably 2 or at most 3 first-round picks to land him. The Orlando Magic received Damian Lillard in exchange for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Jonathan Isaac, and 2 first-round picks that will be headed back to Milwaukee. All the deals I am making right now are 2-team deals due to the knowledge that the trade makers aren't yet designed for the offseason yet, so I wanted to create possible trades rather than just mock up something that actually can't happen. It will most likely be a 3-team trade with KCP going elsewhere and perhaps even Jonathan Isaac going elsewhere as well. Regardless, the draft capital would be on its way to Milwaukee as the team needs to restructure for the future. Damian Lillard in Orlando is going to be the leader and set the example and most importantly the standard for a young team looking to compete. And with the defense Orlando already possesses, Orlando would emerge as a true contender in the Eastern Conference. This team is not serious right now. This is because of their limitations as a disastrous three-point shooting team and the brutally unorganized offensive team they are. By adding an experienced vet that can shoot, this Orlando Magic team will correct its biggest flaw. Dame is as much of an elite floor general as he is prolific scorer, and to see him play alongside Paolo and Franz would be a match made in heaven. Dame, Suggs, Franz, Paolo, and whichever one of their centers is healthy will be a high-level defensive team as well as a scary offensive team. The team does have young players climbing the ranks that have proven they can play in big games, which just adds so much confidence to the team's depth. The Magic also have an amazing coach and coaching staff, and the systems and schemes they already implement are great on both ends of the floor. So to add a superstar to this magnitude to a team that is only one piece away from being serious as is, it will speak volumes to how good the Orlando Magic will be. Obviously, trading Dame wouldn't be the only move the Bucks make, and it probably would be an afterthought considering that the only way Dame is moved is if his running mate is on the move as well. The Bucks have been a disaster the past 2 seasons, and with all the upcoming free agents they have, as well as the lack of success, the possibility of their superstar leaving becomes much more realistic. Now, this is always dependent on how he feels, because if Giannis wants to stay, he will. But if he doesn't, his next team will have to give up a haul to get him. Who exactly has a haul to give up for the superstar, but can also remain in contention? The answer is quite simple. This team needs to be real about things. They don't have a true one option and do not scare anybody in the loaded Western Conference. They don't have reliable offensive players, but they do have great depth and an amazing supporting cast for stars. Shooting may be limited, but stopping this team after a Giannis trade and scoring on them will prove to be difficult. That is why the Memphis Grizzlies, who will be sent home early again this postseason, will go all in and trade for the Bucks superstar this offseason. In a blockbuster deal, Giannis Antetokounmpo and AJ Green are headed to Memphis in exchange for Desmond Bane, Gigi Jackson, John Conchar, and 4 first-round picks. Building blocks for the future are clearly going to be a very high upside young forward and Gigi Jackson, along with the 4 first-round picks, while Desmond Bane will be moved fairly quickly for even more valuable assets, setting the Bucks up perfectly for the future. Memphis gets shooting in AJ Green, and luckily the shooting fits their system of aggression, but plugging Giannis next to Ja and Jaren Jackson Jr. will make the Grizzlies an actual top-level contender. Sure, floor spacing may be an issue, but this is an inviting and intriguing situation for many free agents who may not even care about how much they are getting paid because the team has an amazing core for the future and can actually win. Giannis and Ja get to the basket at will, even with suspect floor spacing as is. Game planning for both, and then factoring in how Jaren Jackson Jr. has emerged, this team would be scary. There are still capable shooters, and there are still ways to add them around the team, including in the trade. When it comes down to it, the Memphis Grizzlies with Giannis will be a serious threat in the West and can beat anyone. And that is something you cannot say right now. And that is why Giannis to Memphis is the final trade I will be predicting for the offseason at this moment. Again, all 4 of these trades are way too early blockbuster deals and are unlikely to actually happen. However, I do see the world where they all can happen, and that is why they are the 4 blockbuster 2025 NBA offseason trade predictions I have for you all right now. Things will change sooner rather than later. I hope you all enjoyed. If you are curious as to who can actually win the 2025 NBA championship, click on the video on the upper right, as there are only 6 teams that I believe can do so. And if you want to see my weekly recap called In Case You Missed It, that drops every Monday at 3, the latest episode is on the left. Y'all stay safe. Have a good one. Bye.